Hi, everyone. Welcome you to Inspire a PhD podcast. My name is Sifelua Abalolata Kilesha. I'm so excited to introduce today's guest to you. She's a friend. She's a great person, Dr. Baranwal. I knew her from the University of Toledo, and I can say that she has been, a very great part of my life from Toastmasters and all. Okay. I'm not gonna say too much about how we met, but I know she's a great person. Dr. Baranwal, can you please introduce yourself to us? Your background, what you had your PhD in?
Thank you so much, Ife, first of all. And it's my honor that you are taking my interview today, and I'm getting a chance to inspire so many people over here. So my educational background, I would start from I did my bachelor's in biotechnology from India, and then I did my master's from Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, India. And after that, I worked for 2 years in a Central Pollution Control Board, which is a federal organization in India, as a research fellow. And after that, I came to US with full scholarship for my PhD program. Yeah, and there are a lot of challenges, ups and downs in all my career journey. I have even joined a lot of outreach activities, a lot of lot of organizations to improve my communication skills, leadership skills, etc. Yeah, so this is how and currently also, after completing my PhD, I recently completed last year in December 2022. Currently I work as a water quality program manager at the county government in North Carolina. Um, and here I'm responsible for $1.4 million federal project for the lead and copper. So yeah, it's kind of exciting after my PhD, all this new job, and it's so different. Like it's a mixture of research as well
Mm-hmm.
as a lot of I manage the contractors.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Just introducing yourself and telling us your background, I think it's already sounding so inspiring. And I'm going to unpack all of that, all that you said, one by one. You said that you did your undergrad in India. And so tell us about how you came about, and you worked briefly. So how did you decide, what made you come to that decision to go ahead for a PhD?
I think there are a lot of stories for this question for me, because just to do that PhD, I faced so many challenges, so many rejections in my life,
Oh,
that
wow.
I would only know that how much I have went through. But I would like to share to that, because there are many students who might have gone through that and might be going, and they might it would be helpful for them to know that. So once I completed my Bachelor of Technology, which is BS in Biotechnology from India, I given the GATE examination, which is like a Indian competitive exam, and I got the 98 percentile over there. So
Wow.
I got admission for my master degree in IIT. So I would like to tell you that IITs are the top engineering colleges of India, and
Wow.
there are different IITs in different states. I got the admission in IIT Roorkee, and all over India. That was very much challenging for me during that time to get the admission. It was so competitive with all the reservations and everything. And yeah, and after completing my masters, I saw that many of my batchmates, they got admission into PhD, and that time I was the only one after my master degree who didn't got the job in my campus. I was the only one, and I don't know why. I interviewed, it's not like that, but I thought it's okay, and I started applying my own a lot of jobs, and every time I get a lot of rejection, all rejections and rejections. But every time I get a rejection, I always feel okay, let's try this one, now I will try this one. And while I was getting the rejections, I started thinking, what if I keep applying for my jobs, as well as I should start preparing for GRE and TOEFL, just
Okay.
in case. I was not sure, but I started preparing from those days only. But I was
Mm,
not sure in my mind whether I'm really going to go US, leaving my
mm,
parents, leaving my country. No, I never thought about it.
mm,
And then and I never told my parents, because in India the GRE and TOEFL, the application fees is only very much high, and
yeah.
I was using all my savings of scholarships which I got from masters to pay up those fees, to even apply for, or even to go for different states to give the job interview.
Mhm.
And my parents were very much like angry to me that time, because I was doing so many things and I
Oh,
was even not sure you know but yeah, I landed up with a job. And then during that time, I landed up with a job as a research fellow at the Central Pollution Control Board, where I was completely immersed in the water quality analytics, and I
okay.
was doing extensive analysis of various kind of water samples, evaluating microbiological parameters. And also I was assisting the director of my division to inspect the water treatment plants at the state and the federal level of India. So it was kind of an exciting job. And actually I got inspired from him again when he said to me that why don't you do your PhD. He saw maybe a passion in me, because I always prefer to write paper with him. Even in my masters I wrote some papers with my advisors and my colleagues. um, so again that thing triggered in my mind during that time. Okay, now I should really be focused on applying for PhD. And I
Okay.
started like applying for PhD in India from IITs again. And you won't believe if I like I again got so many rejections from IIT for PhD. You know, and I used to use all my savings to book the tickets to go for all interviews and all. It was so much hectic during that time, because and so yeah, I am just remembering those things in my mind, and I'm telling. And every time I get the rejection from each places, I always think in my mind, maybe this is not for me. Maybe
Mm, yeah.
I deserve more. You see how I think. And when I tell
Yeah.
to my mom or my friends, they laugh at me. They tell me, if you didn't get the admission in IIT, how can you think of even going to US? But
Wow.
I'm like, I used to think no, because I think that's why God is doing to me. If I'm
Mm,
getting the rejection, it means I have to
mm.
apply even more high.
Wow. I've never heard about that kind of thinking, Parul. That is
If I, and
great.
it always I don't know, during that time I used to think, when I walk on roads after I get the failure rejection from the
Mhm.
interview, I think
Yeah.
in that mind, after going to home, and now I should
Mm,
start preparing for next IIT, or
mm.
I should start preparing for going to US. So that
Wow.
was my passion during that time. Yeah, and so I gave my GRE and TOEFL while I was working in the New Delhi, which was the capital city of India, as I
Okay.
told, in the Central Pollution Control Board. And I got good scores there, because I know that I have to get the good scores in order to get the full scholarship. That's very important. And I started emailing to, I think I emailed more than 1,000 professors. You won't believe that, because I know that I was not a talented student. I was an average student, so I have to do a lot of hard work to
Mm,
complete my dream. You know.
mm, mm, mm.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of emails. Even sometimes when I open my Gmail, I feel so much inspiring. Thinking of those days, I even used not to have the internet at my home, just
Wow.
because I save money and I use the internet from my office. I sit late night after my work.
Wow.
Um, so
Just to
yeah, it's
your dream.
if I whenever I think of those moments, I feel like I sacrificed a lot,
Mm,
just even to come to US. It's a lot of like challenges I have gone through.
mm.
um, and I used to save each and every money just to fill the application form for US, because it's a lot, right? You know that,
It
because you
it is.
also.
It is a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
And even to like send the transcripts from
Yeah.
India to US, like I don't want to ask even a single money or single thing from my parents,
Mhm.
because they were not sure that I really want to go US. Even I was not sure, but I just
Yeah.
want to try. I just
Yeah.
think life is just once. If we don't try, we can't know that we really can go for it or not, right? So
Yes.
you have to try to see really, like, and you have to give everything, not just try. You have to just give everything for
Yeah.
it. And
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, I got reply from some of the professors, and I feel so much happy that time that okay. But you can imagine if I was very much like non-communicative, I don't know to write the proper emails to the professor, which was also a problem for me.
Okay. Okay.
And I feel so much difficulty how to reply them nicely. But
Mm-hmm.
I struggle a lot. Like, I saw so many things on the Google and everything, how to write emails and everything.
Yeah.
And I contacted them, I interviewed them. And once I get the confirmation, I applied to 5 different schools,
Okay.
because I want to confirm first with the professors that they are going to take me for admission. And then only I want to spend money on the application form, because each
Yeah.
application form was around $30. But in Indian rupees, it's a lot for a
It's
middle class
odd.
family, you know,
Yes, it
it's a
is.
lot. And like, I have to be sure, I can't just apply. And
Mm-hmm.
then, yeah, I applied and I got the offer letters from 3 universities.
Okay. Okay.
But I chose University of Toledo for my PhD, because from here I got the full scholarship for teaching assistantship and for research assistantship, and also my research greatly aligns with the professor at the UT Ohio. So yeah, in that way, I choose I chose to get my PhD from here, from
Wow.
University of Toledo.
Wow, you really gave it everything you had to really, make this a reality. I mean, I like the fact that, you explain, because, some people think that, oh, maybe, doing all of this, they don't know how to do it, but I mean, you keep trying, right? You keep trying, you keep reading up, like you said, you were looking up, online. And I like the fact that, replying emails. I had the same issue too. Like, I'm like, did I write this well? But with time, I mean, look at you now. You're complete. I'm sure you have written tons of emails since you got in here, and yeah, you now know how to do it better. Thank you so much for sharing that, Parul. That was
That's so true. If I now I want to say, like, in my office, my
Mhm.
supervisor tells me that, Parul, you are the best writer. Tell me who is the person in the earth who tells you that you don't write good emails. And like, in my office now, they everyone come to me to write an article which has to be published online. You can imagine. I
Oh,
still remember my days where I was struggling writing in proper email, professional email to the professors. But it's all about learning, and like, and grow more.
yes, that's very correct, Parul. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is really inspiring. So tell me about, when you came to the US and you started your PhD, which aligned with what you had, what your undergrad and your master's degree, right, and your work experience aligned with. So how was that for you in terms of the education? Um, were there like any differences in the Indian education system compared to the American system of education? If there were, what were they for you? What were the differences that you found, and how did you like navigate them?
uh yeah, like, I believe like, pursuing a PhD in the United States was
Mm.
both challenging and rewarding as well,
Yeah.
because like, I had to adapt through several differences in the educational system and lifestyle compared to India, which you asked. First of all, like, during my PhD program, I was very much proactive in saving the money. Actually, this thing I was always doing from beginning of my career, because I always had this thing in mind. Let's say, if I have to spend some money on application form, on the GRE fees, TOEFL fees, it's a lot. It was a lot for me, because as a middle class, belonging to a middle class family, I
Mhm.
cannot pay out from, like, I cannot ask my parents just give 10,000 rupees for the GRE exam. They would never
Yeah.
allow me to spend that much money on one application form. And that
Mhm.
is too, that is for eligibility. So even after, when I came to US, even I was getting my scholarship, I was very much like, effective in saving the money. And
Okay.
because of this, I always preferred the home cooked food. And also, I enjoyed cooking myself because saving money also helped me to manage my living expense as well as focus on my studies without any financial stress.
Yeah.
Um, and I would say the PhD journey was started like it was not easy. There were numerous challenges in that as well. There were many times when my research projects didn't give the expected results. And you know, Ife, right? Like
I-
I know you have also gone through so many challenges,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yes.
Like every time we used to spend so much times in lab, and every time you do the new experiments, new projects, every time failure. And but with each failure we always learn to
Yeah.
perceive, to adapt our approach, and how we can continue, I would say, to push the boundaries of knowledge. That's very important, right? So I think overcoming those challenges made me a more resilient and determined researcher, I would say. And during my PhD program, I also learned to write, as I told, not about only emails. I even I was passionate that even I was getting the scholarship from my professor. I was very much passionate to write the grants with him because I want to learn. And I wrote a one grant with him, and I was fortunate to receive an internship offer from United
Uh,
States Environmental Protection Agency. And my project funding again started from that one. And one of my chapter of my thesis was funded by US EPA. And
wow.
additionally, I remember I also applied for other different scholarships like at the state and national level, and I received total 5 different scholarships,
Wow.
which is beside my scholarship which I was getting from my university.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously my PI supported in that. And like I was we had a discussion like if I will do well in all the research projects, he is going to motivate me or give my good recommendation letters for my scholarships. Yeah, so these all things help me to ease my financial burden, as well as help me to recognize my academic achievements, because all those things really matters at
Mm-hmm.
the end of my PhD, uh, in crafting my resumes and everything. And because yeah, it's very important. Like in your PhD you should always apply for different scholarships,
Yeah.
and it's never bad you gain like extra money for your education system, right? Education and
Yeah.
career. And one important significant difference between the educational system in India and US is like in India, if someone is getting a PhD admission, the
Mm-hmm.
PhD funding is relatively easier to secure because those fundings are coming from the like they are based on merit, and they are generally available once you are admitted. They are already given to you through sponsored projects or through research assistantship. But in US I found out like uh, the PhD admission process is quite competitive. The funding availability is like is not a well shot that you are going to get a funding, right? Securing funding is a significant part of the application process, and it typically includes your GRE scores, TOEFL scores, GPA, like your SOP, statement of purpose, a research proposal, as well as your previous research publications, letter of recommendations, as well as your research interest. So there are so many things, right,
Yeah.
to get your full PhD funding in US. So this is kind of very much different, I think. And also the research culture is very much different from India. Like in US universities, there are research groups which are led by the faculty members, and with multiple PhD students who are working on the like a different aspects of a common research theme, right? We work like that. Like we have a big group, and there is a same research theme, but we work on different aspects of that research theme. But in I think it is not so much common like this in India. The research groups are still emerging in India, that there are not so much large group, not so much collaboration within the departments. And in US, I believe if there are a lot of collaborations, we learn a lot of new techniques. Like I learned a lot from chemical engineering department, right, from mechanical engineering department, and these all things helped me to even talk in my interviews when I was giving for my job interviews, as well as in my later career. Like I'm not only stuck in environmental and civil engineering, right? uh, and cost of living, I would talking about the diversity, I would say like US research groups are highly diverse because students are there from different countries and we work together, and this international exposure has enriched my experience and allowed me to interact people from different cultural backgrounds. And I think in India diversity is more regional than international. Yeah. And the cost of living, I would say, for an unmarried PhD scholar in India is generally lower. Uh, yeah, because thanks to the subsidized accommodation and food expenses, which are provided by many institutions in India. But in the US, I think such subsidies are less common. The students have to manage their living expenses independently, and that's why we need the scholarship, right? So that we can save money and everything for that. Um, yeah, and I think the duration for the PhD program in US, it lasts for around 4 to 6 years, like maybe due to the courseworks and the qualifying exams we take. But in India, the full-time PhD program takes maybe maximum of 4 years. Yeah. So I think in summary, my PhD journey in the United States was a transformative experience that involved financial planning. I overcome so many challenges. I took the advantages of the opportunities because I think that's very important, right?
Yeah.
I always think whenever like we came so far, leaving our country, our parents. So we have to always do our best. We have to grab those opportunities and adapting to the different educational system, and embracing the diverse and the collaborative research culture. Like these all things was a very much, I would say, a rewarding path for me, uh, that expanded my horizons both academically and personally.
Wow, Parul, I'm so excited that you're here. I mean, all this that you're saying is very, very important. It's not only just about that you're coming to do a PhD. There are so many different aspects, of a PhD student's life that needs to be developed. And I'm so glad that you're sharing all this. I mean, I'm so glad you're like a star, Parul, like with all these scholarships. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what was your research on? What did you work on, in your PhD?
Sure. So actually, my research in my PhD was based on like the cyanotoxins, biodegradation. So cyanotoxins are produced by the harmful algal bloom in the lake. So most of the industries and water treatment plant, they are using the like chemical methods to degrade these cyanotoxins, and those chemical methods, they are not eco-friendly, they're not sustainable. And my research involved like how to degrade these cyanotoxins through bacteria, like which is very much like cheap, sustainable at a bigger scale. So this was like one part of my thesis, and it involved like different steps I took. I used a lot of like the physiochemical parameters, the chemistry parameters, spectrophotometry, spectrofluorimeter, and like HPLC, mass spectrometry. And I also did like genomic analysis. I went deep into the bacteria to study the genomic analysis of those bacteria, how those bacteria, if we change the genes of those bacteria, will that bacteria be degrading those cyanotoxins more or less? So even I studied on that as well. That was one of my third chapter of my PhD.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, you're really changing the world and making the world a safer and a better place. Thank you for all you do. So for people that are wondering like, okay, so what is the steps to doing a PhD research? Based on year to year, right? Like year to year in your PhD, during your PhD, like for, like, you say year one, what did you do, like, and then year two, and then year three, what were you doing in order to be able to say at the end of it you can now finish your PhD?
Yeah, that's a very, I think if that's a very important question, because for me it was a lot of challenge to even like get a PhD scholarship, because no one was there for me to tell me what are the steps, right?
Yeah.
And currently I do a lot of like volunteering things, and I help people from New Mexico, from Spanish people, as well as from India. I
Wow.
help different students to how to apply for their admission in US, and I
Mm.
also do their mentoring and career counseling thing.
Wow.
And I'm not surprised to hear from those students when they tell me they don't know how to actually apply for admission in US, especially from my city, from where I belong in India.
Mm-hmm.
People are not so much aware about can we really go to US? What's the procedure, right? So I really want to help students on that, and I'm currently the part of many NGOs and organizations in
Wow.
India as well as in New Mexico actually. So I would like to talk about this, how I got into the research group. I think the first important thing is that identifying the research interest. Before joining any research group, it's very important to identify our research interest and what is our area of passion. For example, I was very much interested in water quality and environmental management and sustainability, because I even when I was working as a research fellow in a Central Pollution Control Board in India, I there was a very crucial project I was working on for the grossly polluting industries from 17 different sectors of India, and I determined the pollution loads and everything. And I was therefore very much focused that my research interests should be environmental management and sustainability. And this clarity really helped me to focus my efforts in finding the research group that really aligned my interests. So once you have a that thing in mind, you have a like a correct path that you have to go into that, right? And after you determine your research interest, I think the second important thing is that to explore the profiles of the faculty members within that department or within that research profile. So I started looking for professors whose research areas closely matched my interests, like sustainability, environmental degradation, or environmental contaminant degradation, I mean, environmental management. Uh, and You have to go through thoroughly through university websites, because it provides detailed information about faculty members, research projects, what are their publications, and the area of expertise. And I what I did, and then I started, once I identified the different professors whose research aligned with my interest, I reached out to them via email. So, in my initial communication, I introduced myself, expressed my interest in their research, and explained why I wanted to join their group. So, for that, you have to sometimes read their research papers, and it shows you have to show your interest that you have read their some research papers, and why are you interested in joining their research group, what inspired you to come in your research group, right? And then I attached my resume, my academic transcripts, to provide a comprehensive overview of my qualifications. And this thing I also helped many students, and they got so much like positive reply from the professors once you like talk to them related to their papers, their research interest, right? And after that, if the professor expressed interest in my application, I obviously requested a meeting to discuss potential research opportunities. And during these meetings, it was not a it was kind of interview, but I would say meeting, because it was not very because we talked about our ongoing projects, what are my research interests, and like how my skills and background could contribute to their work, right? These are very important, so you have to talk about these things. And these meetings also allowed us to assess the compatibility of the research collaboration, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
these I think these all things matter getting a PhD in US. And in some cases I see that professors also recommend that you start by volunteering in the lab or by taking some relevant coursework to build your knowledge and skills. This is very common. So this can serve as a trial period also, because to determine if a research group is a good fit for you as well as the professor. I saw many of my friends, they don't get the scholarship in the beginning, and from the as I told you before, I got the admission offers from three different universities, and one of them offered me the same thing, like you have to come to our lab and we will have a look that we are collaborative, okay or not. So but I wanted a scholarship from beginning, right? I cannot afford that much. So yeah, and then after discussing the research opportunities with the professor and gaining their support, then I submitted a formal application to join the research group, and it required completing a paperwork which is required by the university or department. And I submitted my statement of purpose, my academic transcripts, my GRE, TOEFL score, the recommendation letters which I got it from my master's professors. And also I submitted my 1 or I guess 2 pages of my research interest, so that it will be easier for professor also to know where from what is my background. And then once I get accepted into the research group, I integrated into the team by attending the group meetings. I get familiarized myself with different ongoing projects, and I collaborated with the other group members also outside my departments. So I think building the strong relationship is very much important, especially in US. I realize it is very much essential for a successful research experience. Like even after my PhD, you should if I have a good connections, good relationships, that counts a lot in your career, you know. And as a member of the research group, I also actively participated in a research project under the guidance of the professor, which involved like conducting experiments, collecting data, analyzing results, and contributing to publications and presentations at international and national conferences. So I think the research is an ongoing process of learning and discovery, and I was continuously engaged in learning opportunities and attended conference. And beside that, I also want to add that I was in a part of different organization. Like I was the president, vice president of Toastmasters. Initially, I was not, because I just joined as a member. But later on, to improve my, Ife, you were also I
Yeah,
dragged you into that.
yeah, you did, but that was an experience.
Yeah, and then I was the treasurer of the dance group, and I was the mentor, I was the teaching assistantship. I taught like 60 undergraduate students in the water engineering class. So it was like overall, it was a great learning. It was a collaborative process and so dynamic process that requires like networking, communication, collaboration, which really helps to grow and complete your PhD.
Wow, thank you so much, Parul. I mean, the step-by-step process of what you really want to do, that was really great. That was really helpful. I'm sure our listeners, our viewers, have really gained a lot just by you laying it all. And thank you so much for being very open about the process. So I want to ask, for the time that you were a PhD student, if somebody is a PhD student and is like, okay, so I'm in my third year, what should I be doing now? Or someone is in like a first year and is like, what should I be doing in my first year, in my second year? What should I be doing in my fourth or fifth year? Can you just and I know this question you may have to really think about it, but like maybe 1 or 2 things per each year, what do you think a PhD student should be doing, like for every year of their study?
Yeah, sure, Ife. Yeah, thank you for the question. Yes, like during my PhD, I think I would start from the coursework. I took a combination of courses, first of all, related to my research area, and I also had an opportunity, as I mentioned before, to teach undergraduate students. And I was very much actively participative in the research projects of even the master students from my lab. Because I believe and it's very helpful when I was applying for my job later on in my PhD, because you know the diverse projects you worked in. So always I would say that I would encourage students to involve yourself in different kinds of projects. Don't only restrict yourself in your project, which many PhD students do. And I think it was very helpful for me that I remember I was very much involved in one student who was from your department, Ife, and like he was doing a lot of microscopy things with the chemical engineering. So I was always trying to participate how what he is doing and trying to help with my skills. And it always helps to like uh, learn more from different departments. So I enrolled in the graduate level courses that were directly related to my research interest in civil and environmental engineering department. And those courses were like related to water quality, environmental management, and research methodologies. And part of my coursework also involved preparing my qualifying examinations. So these exams also assessed my understanding what are my core concepts in my field and how I can be ready for conducting original research. So in the qualifying exam, we have to make a project which has to be very different from what I am doing right now. So I have to write a research proposal which is different from what the current project I'm working on in my PhD. So it gives you the thinking, the power to think of something new, something innovative, and which has to be like novel, and it has to be like sustainable as well, right? And in addition to the core courses, I have also taken some elective courses to further refine my expertise in specific aspects of my research area. So these courses also helped me to develop a well-rounded understanding of my field. For example, I did other courses from like codings because I was a biology student. I was not from the math background, so I have to take some math extra courses and the coding courses from the R and Python to just use those skills in my research data analysis. Yeah. And as a part of my academic journey, I also had the opportunity to teach the class of 60 undergraduate students for the water engineering classes and the labs. And I think that teaching experience was very much valuable because I was responsible to instruct the students in the water engineering lab skills, and it involved demonstrating various laboratory techniques, procedures related to the water quality analysis, treatment, and also I had the privilege to mentor the master students on diverse science and engineering projects. In addition to teaching, I managed aspects of the courses including like correspondence with them, proctoring exams, recording grades, maintaining the blackboard, preparing the lecture presentations. So I think these all responsibilities, it was really difficult for me in the beginning. As you know, Ife, you have also gone through those things to manage everything. Like you have to teach the students, you have to maintain your research, you have to maintain your scholarships. There are so many things, and then you have to manage your finances. But these responsibilities really helped me to develop my organizational and leadership skills, and that's a lot of learning you like I realized after completing my PhD. During that time it was very much tough, like how I'm gonna do it. You have to take like 60 credits, which is not easy, right?
Yeah.
And then I also organized and led educational trips for the undergraduate students to the water treatment facilities. And these field trips also provided practical exposure to the water treatment plant operations and enhanced the students' learning experience. I also led the Lake Erie Sustainability Campaign, where we addressed the pollution, nutrient runoff, and litter accumulation challenges through community engagement. So I think there are a lot of things in the PhD life which you have to go through, like teaching and mentoring, and those were all rewarding experiences for me that really complemented my research work. Yeah, it allowed like to share my knowledge and contribute to the future professionals, as well as strengthen my communication and leadership skills as well.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. What was the most challenging part of your research?
I think the most challenging part of my research, I would say, is my writing. I think, as I told, in the beginning, I used to struggle a lot in writing the papers, in writing the and searching for different research papers, writing publication, presentations. Even my
Mhm.
presentation, I struggled a lot, but I think I did a lot of work on that. Whenever my advisor pushes me, my co-advisor pushes me, I always take it as a challenge that I can do it. And every time I try to have a regular meetings with him, even though those meetings were not very productive, I feel, oh my god, if all those things, right? Even but every time I feel, no, I have to do better than this,
Yeah.
I have to do better than this, right? And every
Mhm.
time I realized slowly when I came into my fourth year, uh, it was it was so much easy going. Whatever I used to present to my team, to my research team from other organizations, because my research was collaborative with the even with the federal organizations. I
Okay.
was getting the funding from them, so it was so much easy going at the end year, because whatever I was telling to them, they were very much communicative. They were listening to me, and
Yeah.
they were understanding my research. But in the initial days of my PhD, it was very hard for me to
Mhm.
explain my research to them. And also, I participated in the 3-minute competition 3 times. And if you also participated, and I would like to say to the people here that it is an international kind of competition where you
Yeah.
have to present your technical research of PhD of 5 or 6 years in just 3 minutes.
Yes.
So it's like how you have to convey your technical knowledge into the normal audience
Mhm.
in just 3 minutes. So I was the finalist for 3 times in that, and I
Oh,
won 2 times in that competition. So
wow.
so these are all the small steps I took to improve my communication skills.
Mhm.
These were the
Mhm.
lot. I was doing so many things in my PhD program, as I mentioned before, but I think those were all helpful uh, to manage your time and to make your mind diverse in
Yeah.
all the things, so that you will be adaptive later on in your life. It's not just your research, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, so for people that are wondering, oh, am I ever gonna get better? I mean, Parul here is saying, just keep working on it, pushing yourself, and you get better. You get better with time. So I mean, the other part that I want to ask is that what was the most rewarding aspect of your research?
I think the most rewarding aspect of my research, I would say, if it is uh, that was, I think it's the most rewarding of my PhD. Throughout my PhD, I used to think, what I'm gonna do after
Mhm.
doing this PhD? What is the
Mhm.
use? I may like, but I think after my PhD, I got 8 job offers, and I was the first one in my lab.
Wow.
Yeah, I was the first one in my lab, in my research group, who got so many job offers, and my advisor was so proud of me, and that
Oh.
was the happiest moment for me. Yeah, when you see your advisor is so proud of you, right? But that was also not a one-step go for me. Like, I
Mhm.
did a lot of things. I got so many challenges. I got so many rejections. Oh my God, I can only remember. But from each rejection, I always learned from something. Whenever, and this happens like in PhD, you are so much pressurized with your research thesis at the end of the semester, wrapping up your thesis, writing your paper, publications, and you have to apply for jobs. So, but whenever I used to get the failure from any company, I used to call them, I used to request them to give the feedback for
Oh,
what I
wow.
did the wrong, you know.
Mhm.
And whenever I get the feedback, I always try to overcome that in my next interview. So you
Mm.
won't believe, if in the beginning my resume was even not picked by the companies.
But
I
wow.
used to apply like 50, let's say I used to apply not 50, like let's say 20 companies. My resume used to get picked by one company.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
realized after 2 months, when I applied for 20 companies, my resume got picked for 10 companies. I started getting so many interview calls.
Wow.
And might be I gave like maybe, I guess, 20 interviews in my PhD, and I got selected in 10 of them. I got admission for postdoc from Stanford, and like from all the even from the national lab in US. So that was very much challenging for me, that how I overcome my challenges, my weakness in my interviews, and how you have to talk to them, how you have to present to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was, I think, very much rewarding for me. And currently, like the work I am doing, it is directly related, directly for the public safety. I am managing the lead and copper federal project, where I have to like manage the lead and copper lines in the entire county, which is kind of contaminant to the people. So I am so proud that whatever I learned through my PhD, I am applying to the real world. I am applying to the public safety. um, Thank you.
Oh wow, I lost you there, but it's fine. So, what I want to ask is that, Parul, you were married during your PhD, right? How did you manage, being married and being in PhD? Did it help you, and in what ways did it help you, if there was?
So yes, I did get married during my PhD program, in my third year actually, to be precise. And I think managing marriage while pursuing a graduate degree can be challenging, but it is certainly manageable. Like there are some myths and misconception I know about getting married in graduate school, but I want to address that. First of all, it's true, it's a myth that marriage will always distract you from studies, but I don't think so. Because even because some people believe like marriage introduce new responsibilities and commitments, and it can, but it at the same time it can also provide you emotional support and stability, right? Sometimes I remember you have like my husband was very much supportive in order to even build my effective communication and time management. We were always having a balance between our personal life and academic goals. So, and whenever we used to like cook together, we always used to have like sometimes have a good discussion about our research, about my communication, or what I talked to an interview. And he always used to like give me some constructive feedback, which really helped me to improve me. I think that was also one of the important thing. And some people believe like it's always best to delay the marriage until after completing your graduate program, but it's like if you and your partner are ready for marriage and you have a strong relationship, I think there is no need to postpone, because many graduate students, I believe, have successfully navigate marriage while pursuing their degree. So it depends on you how you are taking marriage as a, because marriage also involve financial responsibility, but it should not be taken as a burden. I think it's very essential to plan your finances together and discuss how you will manage expenses. So I did the same, like we always have a proper discussion about our financial goals, budgeting, as well as exploring the new opportunities for our career, right? So uh, supportive spouse can always enhance your academic journey, and it always provide you emotional support. We share household responsibility, which always help you to stay focused on your goals. So for me, it really helped me after getting married, like in my PhD program. And I started to have like good communication as well. It is also very essential having an open and honest communication with your spouse, and we discussed about my academic and personal goals, expectations, and concerns regularly. And yeah, so we clearly defined boundaries also between our academic and personal life. Whenever there is a time to study or work on research, I focus on our task, and whenever like we are with each other, we are fully present in that moment. So there are many things like but it's really fulfilling and enriching experience if it is managed effectively.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I like the way that you said supportive and open and communication, very strong relationship, right?
Yeah.
Because marriage is work, is a lot of work. So you must be ready to. You must be aware that there's still some work that will be involved in it. Thank you so much for sharing this. And so, while we're wrapping up, I just want to ask, so Parul, you have such a stellar, I would say, experiences, stellar accomplishments, and I'm so happy that you're here today. So I want to ask you, like, what do you see yourself doing in the future, beyond PhD? You're still looking forward to doing?
Yeah, sure. So, in my future plan, I am really looking forward to help the society more with whatever the knowledge I have gain, and whatever knowledge I am going to get more from more professional and experienced researchers and scientists in my life. I'm really more interested to grow more in my field and to contribute directly into the policies of environment in the US, where it can directly affect the people. And I really want not only like I should give my knowledge to US. I always try to inspire people from different countries, so that I think we are the youths who have to change the world, right? And we are responsible to even change the people or change the next generation. So I always believe that we should tell our stories, which is like which are like lot of failures, but these failures are not obstacles, but I believe they are opportunities for growth, but with hard work and determination. And they always give us the new path to remarkable discoveries and achievements, right? So I will continue, and I always want to like inspire different students from India, from other countries as well, to help them to get their dreams, to pursue their dreams and grow more, right?
Wow, thank you. And we will be looking forward to all your great achievements, all your outreaches. Thank you so much for coming, Parul. This has been a great time. Thank you for your time. I know you're a very busy woman. So thank you so much for your time. And to all our viewers and our listeners, we have been speaking with Dr. Parul Baranwal, and we just want to say that, by us sharing our experience and our journey, we hope to achieve is to inspire PhD students, those that are current and those that are aspiring, those that are wondering, oh, maybe this is what I should do, but they do not have, the full story. So thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you for watching this. Please be on the lookout for more episodes. Thank you so much, Dr. Baranwal, for coming on this show. We really appreciate you. Thank you so very much. And all the best.
Thank you so much.
I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.